Hello and welcome to our fifth episode. And today I'm joined with an agronomist in Zimbabwe, and we're going to be discussing all things agronomy. My name is Kuda, and I want to invite you, if you haven't done so, we have a classified website. And on this website, we're listing all the businesses that for guests and listeners on our show. What you need to do, head over to our website. I'm going to add a link below and use the code podcast. When you use the code podcast, that is the coupon code that is going to give you a 50% discount for your business to be listed on our website, and you can connect with other business people and get more business. With that out of the way, welcome Sbi Sibanda. I hope I got that right.
Yes, you did.
Okay, welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Sbi, my first question for you is, could you please briefly introduce yourself and give us a little bit background about your agronomy work?
Okay. My name in full is sorry. My name in full is Sbi Sibanda, and I'm a young female agronomist. Um, I graduated in 2016 with Midlands. I was with Midlands State University, and ever since then, I've been in the industry working with farmers. Most of the time, working with farmers because even in my previous jobs, I was doing like some field work.
Okay, great. So, what inspired you to choose agronomy in Zimbabwe? I understand you had other choices that you could have gone for, but why becoming an agronomist?
Well, the choice was very broad, hey, and I, when I was narrowing down my choices, I I looked at things that I can that when I finish school, I can be able to self-employ because I was foreseeing the high rate of unemployment which was growing in Zim. So I was looking for something that I can be self-employed and something that I low-key had some passion for. So looking at all of it, I then settled for agronomy.
Or for becoming an agronomist. So it was your whole goal to become a self-employed consultant in agronomy as you are right now, yeah?
Yes, even when I was pursuing my studies, I knew I would have to start off definitely working for other people, gathering my experience and gathering my confidence and all. But the goal was to then be a self-made person, an entrepreneur, and even create employment for other people.
Absolutely. So now let us talk about the role of an agronomist in Zimbabwe. So I'm not really saying your role as an agronomist, but if I could give you an umbrella term, just a general agronomist in Zimbabwe, what is their role in Zimbabwe?
Well, let me put it this way. In agriculture, we have the agriculture is broad. So agronomy is just a branch of the agricultural sector, but agronomy mainly deals with crops only. And then we have other sectors with their own specialty personnel. So the role of an agronomist, I would simply say, is to maybe study plants and how they can be modified for the benefit of definitely the farmer and the community at large.
Okay, interesting. So if you can give other examples of other sectors besides agronomy, which one is that?
We have animal husbandry. Um, we have forestry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so those are the other different sectors. Now, how do agronomists work with farmers, and why do they need you? say someone is just getting started into farming, why would they say, you know what, I gotta work with an agronomist?
Okay, I'm going to narrow it down to why they need me. um, so I believe my role and my call is to try and bridge the gap, the knowledge gap between the farmer and the science and the research and all. But because for one to become a farmer, people have different professions and they still want to pursue farming. So some don't even have the time and the right knowledge on what to do and when to do. So having an agronomist then bridges that gap of you trying to go to school and do 3 years, 2 years, a year, 4 years of trying to learn something that you want to get into.
Okay, interesting. So if if someone has got that situation whereby they are trying to get into farming and they have no
Mhm.
idea and they don't want to go to school and probably they want to do farming as a business and they have to engage an agronomist, at which point should a farmer engage an agronomist?
A farmer should engage an agronomist the moment they think they want to venture into farming.
The
Before they even decide what to do, the moment you think, I think I want to pursue farming.
Interesting. So it's not the moment when they put the crop and when they see that the crop.
No, you don't even have, because you need advice on selecting the type of crops depending on your geographical location, because different crops perform better under different climatic conditions.
Okay, interesting. So when they think of the idea of farming, that's when they engage in economy. So now,
That's when they engage the agronomist.
yeah. So now let us look at the fact that mm, what are the dangers of a farmer starting the farming project? Like they think of starting a farming project and they don't engage in agronomy. So what sort of results are they likely to get?
The dangers of someone do let me we're not even calling them farmers because they are nurtured farmers.
Okay, yeah,
The
aspiring farmer.
dangers of someone trying to get into that without even doing some research or whatnot is you are definitely going to pay high and very painful school fees. We call it school fees in our lingo,
Okay.
because you might find after trying to invest, maybe after you've invested 5,000, 10,000, I don't know, whatever amount or whatever level you start at, you then realize you didn't do something key at the beginning, which then affects whatever your produce you're going to get or whatever your enterprise is going to go. So those are things that you could have avoided by engaging.
An agronomist, yeah. So
Yes.
to our listeners, I'm going to be honest with you. I met Sbi at a function in Zimbabwe and we exchanged a conversation and she told me that she is an agronomist and at that time I knew someone who was struggling with farming, and that time they'd done cabbages which were not coming out well. I then invited Sbi actually to say, can you please look at this farmer? Can you please look at this farmer project, their cabbages, and tell us what they need to do? So, Sbi, you remember that story? Could you please touch base on some of the effects that you saw on the cabbages that day and in relation to not engaging in agronomist? Did you hear my question? I hear.
Hi. Yes.
Okay, do you want me to repeat the question again?
Please come again.
Okay.
Yes.
So I said I met Sbi at a function in Zimbabwe, and she told me that she's an agronomist, and then we kind of had a conversation about a farmer who had done cabbages, and the cabbages were not well. And then we visited the farm to look at the cabbages. And so I just wanted to share that a little bit of that story of what you saw, the condition of the cabbages and the results that the farmer got, the aspiring farmer actually got for not engaging in agronomist?
Well, first and foremost, the farmer suffered a very huge loss on that project, mainly because the planning was not done so well. They planted more than their water source could sustain. So which then became a huge loss. Whereas if they had engaged someone and they would have been advised on the amount of cabbages to grow as per guided by the water source that they had, and also is at an entry level, you'd want definitely to have a trial crop, because also remember, in as much as you are engaging an agronomist or whatnot, you also have personnel or people that work, or like the general hand that work at the farm. They might not really be skilled for that particular project, so they also need some learning time. So it's always wise to have, or when you want to start farming, to always have what you call a trial crop, where you learn, make your errors, acclimatize with your environment, do data collection on your environment and your specific location. Because in as much as I can give general recommendation of an area, but there's still other effects or things that affect your area particularly.
Okay, interesting. So you once spoke that if someone is thinking of becoming a farmer, someone who has no knowledge and they have to engage a farmer, they have to engage in an agronomist. Now my question for you
Mhm.
is an agronomist a farmer or is a farmer an agronomist? Because now I want to say that you sound like the experienced farmer, someone who has been in farming for years and years, does not need an agronomist. Is that true? Or do you work with established farmers or you work with farmers that are just getting started?
Well, an agronomist is a farmer. An
Okay.
agronomist can be a farmer, but a farmer cannot really be an agronomist. But a farmer can only be have experience on a particular crop or in a particular enterprise that they're doing. Definitely, you gain more experience by. That's why I was saying, Kuti, when you then do your trial, or when as you keep on doing that particular crop, you gain experience on that enterprise. So you become experienced on that particular crop or particular enterprise.
Okay. Now, what are the main opportunities that you see for those that are starting out farming in Zimbabwe? I'm sure you have been to different farms and you work with different size of farms and different people as well. And you come across a lot of opportunities. If you could just give two opportunities that are there in terms of farming in Zimbabwe, especially for the people that are aspiring farmers.
Um, what I can tell, what I can say or tell people out there is Zimbabwe was once named Africa's breadbasket, meaning that uh, I would want to say the whole of Zimbabwe is like an agro. Uh, you can
Yeah.
it then varies which enterprise you can then get into depending on location. But in Zimbabwe, as long as you're in Zimbabwe, you are capable of being a farmer. So which means you don't really have to go looking for land at a specific area, even your own rural home, you can turn that into a profitable place where you can then do farming, which is the first thing you could. That is, there is no particular area, or you're not restricted. Then the second thing is, definitely there are huge markets. There are other places which can't grow other things. There are other places where they actually need supply from us. And also locally here in Zimbabwe, we've gone to a time where we actually import fruits, vegetables from other countries, meaning there's still opportunity and there's still market to supply here in Zimbabwe.
Absolutely. So if you're saying there are opportunities to supply in Zimbabwe, and right now Zimbabwe is importing some of their crops. So what is lacking between the opportunities that you see and the vast land in Zimbabwe that can be used to produce what we need as Zimbabwe? What is the missing gap there?
The missing gap is farmers,
Farmers.
serious farmers with passion, farmers that won't give up, farmers that are not trying to get into farming just to make quick money, because it's definitely not a do one crop and you become rich kind of thing. It's not a Ponzi scheme.
To
You
the
have to put on some hard work.
Okay, so for aspiring farmers, speaking of putting some hard work, the farming needs time and things like that. What are some of the significant challenges that you see that beginners make in farming that beginners make, yeah, or face in Zimbabwe?
Okay, the major challenge is definitely someone getting into farming without appropriate knowledge. Appropriate knowledge, I'm talking of knowledge of doing the crop, and also knowledge of how much is needed in terms of investment for that particular crop. You see, for instance, someone decides to say, I want to get into farming, let me plant 30,000 tomatoes. And then they do the land preparation for 30,000, they plant 30,000 tomatoes. And then 4 weeks down the line, they realize they no longer have money for that enterprise to continue, because they underestimated the capital that is needed. So which means that's a complete loss.
Yeah, I understand. So
Yeah, that's a complete loss.
speaking of your role as an agronomist, I want to take you back to the first question that I kind of asked you. Can you tell me your typical help that you give to the farmers? Like a very good example is that from maybe start to finish of the crop, how do you work with farmers?
Okay.
And I need to know about your approach, because you say that agronomy specialize with crops, and when a farmer thinks of farming, then they have to engage you. Do you work with farmers with regards of just giving them advice, or you are hands-on? What is the process like? Can you just touch base on that, and you can give me an imaginary situation of how you work?
Okay. So let's say you could
Yes.
okay, let's say you approach me and say, Sbi, I want to do farming, and I have a piece of land in that area, and please help me. The first thing that I'll do is would definitely organize a trip to the farm to gather some information for me to draft a land use plan for you. A land use plan is something that, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. I'm listening and
Sorry.
taking notes.
Okay, just say okay so that I know that you're still
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So a land use plan is more like an assessment of the piece of land, and we try according to the different dynamics of the area. We try to establish which area is arable, which is not, which area can you use for this, which area can you use for this. So it's like drafting a plan of how to utilize the piece of land effectively and efficiently, right?
Yeah.
So after doing that, if we decide there's a section that or maybe if we decide you only want to do crop, we then divide that into blocks if need be. And then I then recommend the crops that can be suitable based on the type, just seeing the type of soil and the climatic conditions and the area. So I list down the crops that you can venture into, and then also take soil samples, and then we definitely take them to the lab for analysis. Then we can, from if the list is huge of the crops, then we can then remove some based on just simple facts, maybe in terms of revenue and all. So then when we have a narrowed down number of crops, then I then do budgets, estimated budgets. It might be more than, it might be slightly less than, but it's just a guide as you go. So let's say you say to me, I want to do 1 hectare of tomatoes, and then me having the results, so analysis results and all the other information regarding the place, I can then do an estimated budget. Or if you want to do 1 hectare of tomatoes, then you would need to invest maybe 20,000.
Okay.
Right. So then we then do that. Then we then maybe now the budget guide us in terms of your affordability. Okay, so let's start with implementing this and this and this and this. But the land use plan will have everything. And maybe that's like a plan which you can tackle in 5 years or 10 years.
Okay. That
Yeah.
that would be a very long-term plan. Yeah. You want to go on, or I
Yeah.
can go on to the next question?
So okay, then you then is you start, then after giving you the budget and we agree on what we are doing initially, then we start going with the plan, executing the plan. And then I definitely do farm visits regularly, depending on what we agree on our terms. Do farm visits and train the guys on what to do and what not. And then also when I do the farm visits, if there's a crop, definitely scouting and teaching them how to identify pests and diseases.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yes.
So as an agronomist, how long do you work with the farmer for? Or do you work with them on one season, or you work with them for years? How long do you work with a farmer for as an agronomist in Zimbabwe?
Well, uh, if you are a farmer, one advice that I can give you is you definitely have to have an agronomist that you work with, because uh, the level of engagement might scale down as you become confident, as you now your people now know what to do, or you now know how to handle some things. But you definitely have to have an agronomist which you consult here and there whenever something goes amiss, or whenever you want to help in making a decision about a crop. Maybe you've been affected by something and you don't know whether should I invest in spraying or just remove and start afresh. So you definitely need help with things like that. But as a startup, you definitely need an agronomist frequently. But as you gain more experience, maybe doing one same crop, because the problem is people then want to jump from one crop to the other. You never get it. You see that you always be with an agronomist every time because you're jumping from one crop to the other. But if you kind of like specialize, then you become confident in doing that even without
An agronomist.
fully engaging an agronomist.
Okay. So take you back to one of the answers that you gave in terms of strategic planning for the crop and the budget and anything in between. So who are the other professions? And also you mentioned about training the people at the farm. Who are the other professions that should be working along with at a farm setup? I'm talking about probably if you are looking at the budget that you have made, probably you may be working with companies that supply the chemicals, or who are the other professionals that you are likely to be engaging with at a farm setup?
Well, at a farm setup, if you're going to do integrated farming, whereby you're doing both livestock and crop, you definitely have to also engage your vets or your animal science skilled personnel. And then you definitely, if you're going to employ a farm manager, you definitely need an all-round agricultural person that's like a diploma person
Okay.
who has some knowledge on everything, though they are not specialists in either, but they're like an all-rounder.
Okay. So
So you then need such a person. Uh-huh.
yeah, go ahead. You need such a person, yeah?
Or you need such a person, and then you then need your specialists that you can engage in to help you with other things. Then you also need to work with your chemical supplies. Then you that's like the cropping side and the animal side. You have to work with fertilizer suppliers, seeds, and maybe people that drill boreholes, your engineers, because you definitely need, if you're going to be an all year farmer, not a seasonal when it's only raining, then you definitely have to have water source. So you need your engineers for water, you need either electricity or solar, so you need specialists in that area. If you're going to be doing greenhouse farming, you need your engineers who are going to design you and put up your greenhouse structures. You need to have your shared areas. You definitely have to have those. And then other people, maybe local governance of that particular area. And definitely you need to be working with marketing skilled personnel.
Okay. Interesting. Great. So
Mhm.
that's vast of knowledge. Thank you so much. So my other question is, how best can a new farmer tell that this person is an agronomist? You know, in Zimbabwe, we have a situation whereby some people may claim to be what they are not. And what sort of tips can you give in terms of if someone is looking for an agronomist, how can they qualify to say, yes, I can work with this person, you know? Because talk is cheap. A lot of people, they can say, you know what, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. Do you have any strategies that you may think?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So the first thing that makes one an agronomist is the relevant qualification
Yeah.
in that particular field. I'm not saying people should rule out people that have. That's why I said prior that there are people with that have worked with certain crops and have gained experience in that. You're just an experienced person in that, but you are not an agronomist. So the first thing is the qualification, and then the second, you can ask also for referrals of people that they've worked with and work that they've done prior.
Absolutely. It makes so much sense. It really does. Thanks so much for sharing this wisdom. So you spoke about knowledge, that the farmer needs to have a little bit of knowledge about what they need to do so that they can have a lot of patience. As an agronomist, what sort of support do you believe that the farmers should get, and where should they get the support to get more knowledge?
The good thing is now we have the internet.
Yeah,
Well, you can go on the internet and read a little bit. We now have online people that do online seminars. You can attend those. Then there are also field days that are being organized by different service providers in the whole agricultural value chain. It's good to attend those and know, for example, let's say Seedco has a field day. It's good to attend. You get to know what people are growing, which varieties people are growing, which variety is doing better. This you exchange information, and them as a company, they also give you information. And when this other supplier of a certain service or produce then does also the field day seminar, you attend even trainings that are being done by other agronomists out there.
absolutely. Thank you so much. We're almost coming to the end of our session. Now, do you have any suggestions or advice for people who are just getting started in farming in Zimbabwe?
My biggest advice is definitely investing in some research, and also uh, having a budget. Having a budget of, as I'm starting, I think I can part with this much. Then this guides you even in choosing a venture to do. And then also doing some thorough marketing before you even start. Try and find out which sells, what does this, which type. If maybe you want to do tomatoes, for example, you have to know which types does the market prefer and which market prefers this. So you need to do some marketing research and also find out which market can I supply if I do this. And then you do your entry level cropping and grow your way. Don't start too big.
Don't start too big. I like
Do
that.
not
Said
start
it
too
loud and
big.
clear. Don't start too big.
Do not start too big, because you want to try and eliminate. Maybe let's say, for example, you say, okay, I want to try farming and I'm willing to part with 100K. Do not invest the whole 100K at once,
Yeah.
because there are so many lessons that you're going to learn in the process, and you don't want them to be very expensive.
Yeah, of course. So, Sbi, you have shared a lot of great nuggets. I may have not asked you something, and
Mhm.
if people want to get in touch with you and say they're saying, you should have asked this, and can you please share your contacts so that our listeners can get in touch with you?
Okay, for those that want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me through my mobile number for calls or even WhatsApp. So the number is +263 776 896 197.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah, go ahead.
my email address, yes, and then my email address is Sibanda sb@gmail.com. Everything in small letters.
So that's Sibanda SB.
SB
Sibanda
at
SB
Gmail.
at gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, one last question. You may feel like saying, Buddha, you know what, you've been asking great questions, but you should have asked about this. A lot of
Mhm.
people do ask me about this. What would that be? If you can share that